John Lennon may be one of the most famous rock singers in history, but he has also been disliked with some. He also left a legacy that ruffled many feathers. There are a few musicians out there that didn't particularly appreciate the men behind Imagine. Let's look at four musicians who didn't particularly like John Lennon. 1. Steely Dan. The early 1970s were a difficult time. Jobs were gone, many individuals were on welfare, and the country's overall insecurity had reached an all-time high. Naturally, some individuals were irritated to witness Lennon and Yoko Ono lecturing about how everyone simply needs peace and love. The members of the burgeoning rock band Steely Dan were especially irritated. The band wrote what may be considered one of the earliest diss compositions, specifically at Lennon. The 1972 song Only a Fool Would Say That criticized the wealthy, including Lennon, for preaching love and peace while the typical worker struggled to survive. 2. Elvis Presley. This quarrel is difficult in part because we know nothing about it except what the FBI has revealed. Yes, you read it correctly. The FBI held information on both Lennon and Elvis Presley. Presley thought the Beatles had been a real force for any American spirit. He was also of the opinion that the Beatles laid the groundwork for many of the problems we are having with young people by their filthy, unkempt appearances and suggestive music. 3. Todd Rundgren. Paul McCartney famously stated that the concept that the Beatles were anti-capitalist was incorrect. Specifically, he stated that he and Lennon would sit down to write a swimming pool since they knew a successful song would help them financially. When Lennon began writing political songs, it appeared to contradict his ambition to increase his wealth. Todd Rundgren, a pop rock artist, was not pleased. John Lennon ain't no revolutionary, he said in a 1978 interview. He's a man, shouting about revolution and acting like an ass. It just makes people feel comfortable. All he really wants to do is get attention for himself. And if revolution gets him that attention, he'll get attention through revolution. Hitting a waitress in the Troubadour. What kind of revolution is that? 4. Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell has notoriously clashed with everyone from Madonna to Bob Dylan. She and Lennon didn't get along, and she spoke about their initial encounter with disgust. I know I'm going to get into hot water if I get into this, but I have controversial opinions about him. I watched this English film which was a roundup of the best musicians of the 20th century. As soon as it hit my era, the intelligence of it dropped considerably. When it came to me, this guy folded his arms and crossed his feet and said, "I never liked Joni Mitchell. She's too twee." Well, that's what John Lennon was like. It was that fear working class people have of middle class people.